Hello, this is Mr. McCavanagh. I'm going to be walking you through the final exam study guide for psychology class. I'm going to start with Unit 1 to begin with. Number 1 asks, what is the difference between a research and an applied psychologist? A research psychologist is one who does work, usually in the library or a laboratory, gathering data. An applied psychologist is usually a person who is working out in the field using the information that a research psychologist gathers. So, like a social worker, or a teacher, or a counselor, or a therapist of some kind. Number 2, what psychological approach was Sigmund Freud known for? Sigmund Freud was known for the psychoanalytic approach. Number 3, describe the biopsychological approach to psychology. You can describe it using a simple answer as brain chemistry. Brain chemistry or brain chemicals is how a biopsychological psychologist views his field. It's very specific to brain parts and behavior. 4, describe the psychoanalytic approach. Psychoanalytic approach is the study of the unconscious mind. Number 5, describe the behavioral approach. Behavioral approach is about learning and associations. Number 6, where is the highest amount of brain power located? The highest amount of brain power is located in the cerebral cortex. Number 7, how many lobes make up the cerebral cortex? There are 4 lobes in the cerebral cortex. Number 8, what part of the frontal lobe in the cerebral cortex controls movement of the body? It is called the motor strip. Number 9, what happened to Phineas Gage? Phineas Gage was a person who was a foreman or a manager of a railroad construction crew and had a metal rod blow through the side of his face in an explosion accident, and afterwards he suffered damage to the frontal lobe of his brain where he switched personality moods from being cordial, nice, and a good leader to harsh, blunt, and not much of a emotional person. 10. What lobe of the cerebral cortex controls personality and complex thoughts? The same part that Phineas Gage got damaged. It would be the frontal lobe. 11. Why might a head or neck injury be fatal? Because your head is where your brain is at and is directly connected to the spinal cord, which is the central nervous system and key area of communication for the rest of the body. What body parts make up the central nervous system for number 12? The brain and spinal cord. Number 13, explain how the hemispheres of the brain affect dominance. The left hemisphere of the brain controls your right side of your body, and the right hemisphere of the brain controls the left side of your body. Number 14, what skills come from the left hemisphere? In your left hemisphere, you typically are right-handed, and that is where you are very organized, straightforward, good with logic, reason. Number 15, what skills come from the right hemisphere? This is where the left hand of your body is controlled, and somebody who is more playful, theatrical, artsy, is dominant in their right hemisphere. 16, what is the key difference between the cerebral cortex and the lower brain? The cerebral cortex controls voluntary or conscious decisions, and the lower brain controls involuntary or things that you don't have to directly think about to do, like emotions. 17. In the lower brain, what does the hypothalamus control? The hypothalamus controls hunger, emotion, and primarily our sexual desire. 8. What part of the lower brain controls short-term and long-term memory? The hippocampus does that. 19. What does the amygdala control? The amygdala controls our aggression and fear. 20. What part of the lower brain is the alertness control center? This is the reticular activating system. Reticular activating system. 21. What does the lower brain control? As stated in question number 16, the lower brain will control involuntary activities or things that we don't have to directly pay attention to happen, like emotion. 22. How does the cerebellum affect voluntary movements by the body? The cerebellum is kind of like the little brain that controls the balance. When we walk on 2 feet, we don't fall over because the cerebellum helps us balance. 23. Where is the occipital lobe located in the brain? It is located in the back of the brain and contains the visual cortex. 24. What lobe of the cerebral cortex controls vision? It is called the occipital lobe. 25. What lobe of the cerebral cortex controls sensation? It is called the parietal lobe. That concludes Unit 1 of the Psychology Final Exam Study Session.